Well, Earl, this effing sucks.
This is not how I thought this post-game show was going to go. I'll just say this, man. I can take losing. That happens. This is the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can't get down with is my team getting their ass whooped by 31 points in a playoff game on national TV for the world to see.
Your favorite.
The Browns came into this game 2.5-point favorites on the road, and you absolutely shit the bed. Just absolutely shit the bed. The defense didn't show up. Myles Garrett didn't show up. My boy MJ Emerson did not play that great. Greg Newsome, Lord have mercy. That was a horrible game. Outside of Jock, nobody on that defense showed up. The lights was too bright for Ronnie Hickman. You flip it around on the other side of the ball. We knew what the Achilles heels was. Turnovers has been an issue for the Cleveland Browns all season long, right? And we praise Flacco because Flacco would turn the ball over and turn around and make big plays. Today, that didn't happen. You throw back-to-back pick sixes, and it pretty much sealed our fate for this game. The offensive line didn't do a good job protecting him. The rushing attack didn't show up, and we turned the ball over. Every Achilles heel that the Cleveland Browns have is surfaced today at the absolute wrong time, and this is what happened. I would say the Browns beat the Browns, but that would be very disrespectful to the Houston Texans, who showed up and was ready to ball from the opening kickoff.
Yeah, I want to say three things, then three overarching things, then we'll get into some other stuff. But first and foremost, kudos to the Houston Texans. They were the underdogs in this game despite being at home. They came out and they flat out whooped the Browns' ass today. There's no other way to put it. They were better offensively. They were better defensively. They were better on special teams. They were better coached. And the better team won today. So kudos to the Houston Texans. I know we talked some trash. We probably undercredited how good they were going into this game, and they proved us all wrong over the course of 60 minutes today. That's first. Second off, I don't want to hear about the refs. Yeah, they missed a defensive pass interference call in the first half, but at the end of the day, the Texans played a way better game than the Cleveland Browns, and one or two missed calls here or there weren't going to change the outcome. So, yeah, did the Red Browns get screwed by a call? Absolutely. But I don't want to hear people complaining about the refs on Twitter. The Browns got their ass kicked in every facet of football. And last but not least, Earl, you kind of said it. I tweeted this out, but the Browns, and G. Bush said this after the Pittsburgh game with DTR. Kevin Stefanski and his Browns offense was playing with fire. There was only so much you can do when you can't open the playbook. It was a dangerous game, was the exact words he used. And the Browns were the first team in 20 years to lead the NFL in turnovers and make the playoff. Their offensive line was decimated. The fact that Joe Flacco had time in the pocket in the 5-game stretch he went on was incredible, considering the amount of talent that was on the IR and not in uniform protecting number 15. Today, all their issues came to light, and it was the worst time for it to happen. It was the worst possible time for your offensive line to crap the bed. The worst possible time for Joe Flacco not to be able to match turnover for touchdown. The worst possible time for your inept run game to go completely MIA against the defense that was then sitting on the passes. It was a combination and a recipe for utter disaster and catastrophe. And Earl, as much fun as we've had on this season with the Browns being resilient, with the Browns fighting, with the Browns overcoming injuries, there is nothing that makes up for getting your ass kicked by 30-something points in a playoff game. And it feels like a gut punch. It feels like a kick in the balls. And it just feels deflating because I was so freaking excited for this game, Earl. So excited because I thought the Browns had the components to make a Super Bowl run. And to come out there and lay an absolute freaking goose egg like they did, man, it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks.
I looked at it this morning, and I thought long and hard about this. Is the fact of the matter is, this is the second time this team has played each other within a month, and you knew that adjustments was going to have to be made. You knew that both teams was going to have to insert different wrinkles, and that you was going to have a different approach to this game. And the Houston Texans just came out here, man, with a game plan Amari Cooper didn't make no noise. It seemed like CJ Stroud did whatever the hell he wanted to do out there. Their defense seemed like that they were the team with the championship caliber defense.
Yeah.
And it's very hurtful. It was very disappointing. I too was very excited for this game. You couldn't have told me that the Cleveland Browns was going to lose, let alone go out here and get their ass kicked the way that they did. They was not prepared. They clearly their heart was not into it the way that we thought it would be. And the results are shown. You know what I mean? Like I can't even make the excuse for the injuries, right? I mean, they didn't overcame the injuries all year. Like, you just came out here, man, and you flat out got beat. You just flat out got beat. You know what I mean? And it
It
felt,
sucks.
you could just feel the energy changing, early on in the game, right? You can feel like that you was in a shootout, but you couldn't match them score for score. And it was just, man, it's frustrating. It sucks. Let me ask you a question, bro.
Yeah.
As we're getting started here, and I got to give proper credit. A friend of mine on Facebook, and he goes by Hurt Gold. He
Hmm.
asked a question. He said, did the Browns make a mistake by resting their starters in week 18? He said he felt like that the momentum went away. And I got to give you your credit because you was the only one who felt like that the starters should play even a little bit. And you talked about the momentum being a factor. I'm big on faith over fear. And I've been telling the fans not to be fearful, to have faith that this team has turned it around. But hindsight is 2020, and when you look back on it, we both know that week 18, that was a fear move.
Yeah.
You was fearful of a major player getting hurt, but it cost us. It cost us some momentum, and I'm just wondering now if that was not the right decision. He asked the question, so I'm posing it to you.
Yeah. I mean, there's no right or wrong. We'll never know for sure. But we have the results today, and the result of today is the offense looked as bad as it had looked before Joe Flacco had come into this quarterback situation. They hadn't looked that bad since Joe Flacco had been the quarterback. Had they played in week 18, would they have been a little more sharp, a little more consistent? Who knows? All I know is the opportunity to rest and sit guys turned out to be the wrong choice in hindsight. I'm not even going to blame Stefanski. My fear, and Earl, was exactly what happened. They were in some magical rhythm that was inexplainable. I just texted y'all in the group chat before this. Joe Flacco, the 5 games he played for Cleveland, was the exact same amount of good games, and I'm talking in that same statistical category, that he had played since 2019. I've said it before. I'll say it again. There was no logical explanation to why Joe Flacco was playing like this in Cleveland and why he hadn't even played close to that on a consistent basis since 2019. That's four and a half seasons. I was just worried that by resting him, you were going to get him out. Whatever it was in, he was hot. He was hot. It was going to work. You know what? I got to think about it more, Earl. All I know is whatever they did leading up to this in the 2 weeks to prepare didn't work. So, yeah, maybe I'll take a victory lap, but I don't want to take a victory lap. I just feel like I got kicked in the nuts, G. That's how this feels, losing by 31. Having Davis Mills come in with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. Like, hey, G, you're ride or die with anybody. I don't even know what to say, G. How do you feel, man? This sucks.
They got destroyed. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Like, let's be clear. As a man, you stand on what you say, and what you say when you go out there and you compete and you get dog walked. Guess what? You lost. The Houston Texans were a better football team than the Cleveland Browns. I don't care. I'm not gonna go the route we missed we shouldn't have sat nobody. No, we came out there and got our ass kicked. That's what happened. C.J. Stroud was the best quarterback, one of the best players on the field. Will Anderson out-pass rush, outplayed Myles Garrett. D'Amico Ryans out-coached Kevin Stefanski and Jim Schwartz. The reality of it is the Cleveland Browns were not a better team than Texas today. And if you would have played that game 15, 20 times over, I don't think that the Browns would even be close. You got smacked. You got touched. We got destroyed, and it is what it is. That they won that game. And I'm not going to sit up here and rant and rave about how guys didn't play or this happened or that happened. We lost, and they were better than we were. Simple, plain and put.
Gee, and we'll get into all this. This sucks. And guys, none of us want to be, I mean, we have a job to do. This is what we get paid to do. But like this sucks. We had all this plans. We were talking about Super Bowl trips. I don't want to say we were getting over exaggerated. We talked about the Ravens game this week as a potential Joe Flacco matchup, the Magic Round. And at the end of the day, this absolutely sucks. It's gut wrenching and it hurts. It hurts. Gee, I'm curious from your standpoint, and I'll tell you after you answer. And Earl, you can chime in too on this. At what point did you feel like this lead was insurmountable? Because I know we had talked about going into the week, and I think as a collective show, we missed the ball on this week. Everything we said analysis-wise ended up being wrong. Literally every single one of us, from me down to Anthony and director Steve, trying to talk about this game, we were wrong. So in this 60-minute contest, at what point did you know that this puppy was over?
Listen, when I knew I knew what it looked like at halftime. I'm gonna be truthful. Sometimes you just come out and you see you're outgunned. The way their game plan was just better. Like, they isolated Nico Collins on Greg Newsome. And it was evident. It was evident by the way that they called that game that they didn't respect Greg Newsome's game. They thought he was overrated. They thought he was not. Who said this? I think it was Jamar Chase that said it. He was like, "Oh, we respect Denzel Ward, but Greg Newsome."
That was Jamar. Before
that's like, and I didn't say it. They said it. And the way they was playing, it wasn't even close. Up front, they were just better. They had a great creative way to get to up and get to Joe Flacco and cause pressure. We were not able to run the football, and they just had they played like it was the playoffs. And like I said before, the Browns played like they was just happy that they got into the wild card, and it was a nice season. They didn't show me any playoff intensity. They just was there.
Earl, let me ask you this then, real quick, because this goes right into that. Who gets the blame for that? Who's to blame for the Browns not being ready to play in this situation, this caliber of game? Is that a Stefanski thing? Is that the players? Where do you put the blame for the team not being ready to go for the biggest game of the season?
I mean, I can't sit up here and be a liar or a hypocrite, right? I think it's a head coach's job to get your team ready to play. Now, with that being said, a head coach can only do so much. You can't go out there and you can't perform for your guys. Your guys have to go out there and they have to perform. And you know what? I'm going to just take this route for a second. Two things. First thing first, we came out in the second half. We got that defensive stop that we needed. Mm-hmm. We're driving down the field. Flacco throws the pick six. I knew the game was over right then and there. But, you know, when you said what you said and it hit the Houston media, the library card thing, right? I definitely know for a fact that got back to the players. And I got a text during the game that said, you know, a young, confident team is scary as hell. And I got to get them dudes they respect, you know, because I'm a young, confident dude, right? And when you young and when you don't have much experience, people tend to count you out. People tend to believe that you can't do it, that you're not capable of it. And I got to get another props, man, because, you know, I know CJ Stroud is good, but I tried to hang my hat on the fact that he's a rookie quarterback. You know, I know DeMeco Ryans is a damn good coach, and I tried to hang my hat on the fact that he's a rookie head coach, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, we made all these jokes about them being some young dudes, and these young dudes just came out here and beat the dog shit out of us. And that's an L we gotta hold. You know what I mean? Like the level of disrespect that we showed to that organization and to that franchise. You know what I mean? And like, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated all the way around the board, man. And I can't even make no excuses for us because we didn't show up to play. For those who want Kevin Stefanski fired, here's another nail in their hat, right? Here's they see I told you so moment. So whatever, man, go off. I'm gonna let you go off today. I ain't even got the energy for it, but it's just a collective losing effort.
I saw this a couple in the chat and I saw it on Twitter, but and I'm curious what you think. And it may be too soon to be able to actually answer this. You may have to do a little thinking and pondering on this, but is there a chance that as a collective fan base and media contingency, the media in general, is there a chance we overrated this Browns defense for absolutely shutting down some pretty atrocious offenses, but not actually facing some of the upper echelon quarterbacks in football? Like Lamar Jackson, when they played him in a healthy game, he put up 31. There was Brock Purdy. Outside of that, they didn't really play a ton of great quarterbacks. So I'm just asking, is there a chance that we overrated it, or was this just a bad performance?
Nah, there's no – look, as far as bulletin board material, like in the playoffs, when you at the highest level, if you let what somebody say hype you up and the other team don't show up to play, that's on you. You better, like, every single time you get in the playoffs, you got to show up or you can get beat. Everybody in the playoffs is good. And when you get there and you don't show up, there's nothing you can say about that. The Texans just came out there and gave you that work. You didn't get off the field. You didn't cause any turnovers. You weren't 3 and out. We didn't see no intensity about anybody except JOK. And as far as us overestimating it, I don't believe you overestimated. Once again, every single thing you do in this league is week to week.
Mhm.
And when we gave it to them, right? Did they overestimate their squad when we went into their house in the regular season and beat them? No. We put Amari Cooper at 265 on them. But the thing that they came back and said is, look, that was then, this is now. Every single time you step between them white lines, you got to prove it. And the Browns didn't do that. And when you talking about CJ Stroud and his youthfulness or whatever the case may be, here's the point. If CJ Stroud, yes, he's a rookie, yes, he's a young guy, but if you can't get no pressure on a young guy, it is what it is. Like, they offensive line did a great job of locking guys up front of. Look, Laramie Tunsil went out of the game. I still didn't see no pressure. So at the end of the day, you got to perform.
I just think it's more than him being a young guy, man. I just think that dude is just that good.
He's special.
Yeah, he's
nice.
just that good. Like that dude is. He's able to read defenses. You know what I'm saying? He's able to make big plays down the field, and he's able to do so without turning the football over.
He's nice.
And so, like, dude is nice, man. And it's back to the drawing board. You know, these things right here, you hope they build character. But, you know, a loss like this, it makes you take a deeper look into your team and figure out how you can get better. And maybe the guys that we thought was that good, maybe they are not that good. You know what I mean? You can take this loss and the coming weeks and months that's in the future and dissect it and figure out how you can become better as a football team, because right now you're not measuring up.
Look. Let's be clear. And I think sometimes you could be doom and gloom, but you'll take a step back from this tomorrow and you look back at it and say, look, you had a good run. Yeah. You did some things that you with Joe Flacco that was ridiculous for a long period of time. However, you did some things. You were down to your last tackles. You had a lot of guys out, and that's just the way the ball bounces. I don't think you can come away from this game and look at it and say, "Oh my goodness, everything they done, it was terrible." Nah, just today, the Texans was just better.
Yeah.
We'll congratulate them, shake their hand, because this one wasn't close, right? And you just hope you go back to the drawing board, you get some people back, and you keep fighting. But I don't think it's something to reevaluate the season you had.
I mean, no, I'm not saying saying reevaluate the season you had. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is you probably need to reevaluate some of the players on your team. Just reevaluate stuff like that. I'm not talking about reevaluate the season at all. This season right here was special. This season right here builds character. Even if it ended the way that it did, you know, you can still take some positives away from this entire season. I'm not saying reevaluate that at all, but when you go up against a team like that that's got a lot of young talent, this is not just, to me, a one-off type situation. Like, them dudes ain't going nowhere, right? And you use teams like that to say, okay, this is how I can build in this area, that area, etc. And so, I mean, this one sucks. I'm not gonna lie to you. This one sucks because I really felt like we was the better team, and I walked away like, joke on me, at least for the day.
Yeah, G, we talked about it on, I think it was Wednesday. I asked the question. Who is the advantage in a rematch? The team that won the first game or the team that kind of lost the first game and had to reevaluate how to attack a team? And you were the one who said, I actually think the Texans have a slight advantage in that point. And I want to hammer home something, and I want to bring up one more thing really, really quick, and then we'll do some super chats and finish up our post-game show. But you said you thought the Texans had a slight advantage in not in this game in particular, but just in the rematch when one team blows out the opponent as opposed to the team that's getting blown out to reevaluate. It almost felt like the Browns had the perfect game plan against the Texans in week 16, but you can't run it back a second time. So today they're using, I don't want to call it their second game plan, but it kind of was their plan B game plan against the Houston Texans. While on the flip side, the Houston Texans with Case Keenum, without their top pass rushers, without their top cornerbacks in that first matchup, essentially were coming into this game with an entirely new understanding of who the Browns are, what they do best, their tendencies against their certain players. And I just felt like, and I don't think it's even a fault of Stefanski because you can't run back the exact same game plan, and you can't blame Schwartz because it's a totally new quarterback, but it just felt like the Texans were one step ahead, G. I'm not sure if you got that feeling too, but in all facets, their offense is one step ahead. Any adjustment Jim Schwartz made Bobby Slovic, CJ Stroud, and that Texans offense was 2 steps ahead. Any little slight adjustment the Texans defensively did, the Browns weren't able to counter adjust. They found ways to take Amari Cooper out of the game that they weren't able to in week 16. Njoku had a big game, but Elijah Moore had 1 catch. David Bell ended up being their second best receiver. I don't think any of us saw that coming. So I'm just, and we probably will never have a real answer. And G, if you want to chime in and like, feel free to educate me on this, but I agreed with you in the moment when you said the Texans, just based on how the first game played out, had the advantage from a schematic game planning standpoint in this wild card game. And to me, at least watching as the uneducated non-football player I'm not, like, it seemed like they were just 1 step ahead. And I am curious if that's because the Browns used their bazooka weapon. This is going to work every freaking time in week 16, which was the right move. It just came back to bite them in the ass. Is there any, maybe I just rambled, G, but does that make any sense?
Nah. Well, what happens is when you play any team twice and you play them in a very short period of time, you know, it's a catch-22 if you were the team that won the regular season victory, right? Because whatever the Browns were running on, I think it was Christmas Eve, they just was running it up on them. Like, everything was hitting. So now when you come back, you're between a rock and a hard place. Do you run the same stuff you ran before, or are you going to anticipate that they're going to make an adjustment and you already have the rebuttal to the adjustment because you're going to switch it up? So now you're tweaking it and thinking, all right, what can we do and what can we do with that? I think also you got to look at it. The game got out of hand. The Browns were able to do a couple things all season with their defense. They were able to let the offense keep the game close and still being able to complete some things, right? But the defense today, they had their kryptonite because they ran everything that they got blazed on in games they lost. You want to talk about receivers in motion, running back and forth? That was the Rams game. You want to talk about gash in the running game where you got guys on outside zone plays getting big yardage? That was the Pittsburgh Steelers game. You want to talk about guys having mix-ups in the backfield, guys wide open? You know, that's the Baltimore Ravens game, the first one. The Browns have shown they can't stop certain things. And the Texans, I'll give them credit. They came into this game and they circled a guy. They said, yeah, Denzel Ward is playing. But if y'all don't plan on making him running around and guard Nico Collins, we got 1 or 2 guys we're going to pivot to. And they made Hickman, Thornhill, and Newsome the target of their whole attack. And they just got them off the sticks. It went like they was doing Newsome so bad, I started feeling bad for him because he was getting picked on. They was running pick plays for him. He was getting beat deep. He was getting beat short. And they was like, listen, if we catch the ball, guess what? The Brown secondary ain't going to tackle. And if you run away, how many times we didn't see them get ran away from? We saw Pickens do it. We saw DK Metcalf do it. So they came in and they had a beautiful game plan. And CJ Stroud got comfortable. And when he started hitting them passes, he got comfortable. I tell him all the time, man, you ain't got to listen. He got me. He sent me this in the mail. I just got it. Here's this man's library card. He sent it to me, signed, sealed, and delivered, and said, get the hell out of here, fat boy. He also dropped Will Anderson. He sent me a whole wallet full of credit cards. Will Anderson was like, yeah, I live at my mama's house, but look at these credit cards, fat boy. How many I got? Charge it to the game. Boy, they came out and did what is that?
Check your door. I heard you got an Instacart full of Capri Suns at your door, too.
Yeah, look. They said you ain't drinking Kool-Aid no more. You drinking Capri Suns in the bag. Get up out of here, Kool-Aid, man. Y'all going home. I got to take that. I got to take it.
Yeah. It's great. Real quick, Earl, then I'll let you chime in. But I saw a stat today. This is just the 6th rookie quarterback to beat quarterback in the playoffs that had at least 3 playoff starts. Of the 6 was today CJ Stroud, and Joe Flacco beat Jim Schwartz, who was the defensive coordinator in Tennessee back in 2008. So this is now 2 of those 6 losses fall on Jim Schwartz, which is probably just a random stat anomaly, but I did think it was worth mentioning.
Oh, by the way, we did not. I didn't see Myles Garrett today. I didn't see him.
No, I didn't either. That was gonna be my next talking spot.
Bring it up. Stand on it. Let's hear it.
Gotta
My
keep
man
it
about to
up.
get beat down.
Look.
Floor is yours, Earl.
Big time players make big time plays and big time moments and big time games, right? And I love Myles Garrett. Absolutely love Myles Garrett. I think Myles Garrett is overall the best player on this football team. Man, but I am so disappointed because I've been screaming, stomping the pavement like everybody else in here. Myles Garrett is defensive player of the year, right? And he was my hard working matchup of the game. I said, I need to see Myles Garrett go off, set the tone early against Larry Tunsil, right? I felt like even when he moved around, he had no significant impact on the outcome of this game at all. And it pisses me off, man, because when you go out there and when you play like that, it makes it so hard to defend you, right? But I got to call a spade, and I got to be honest with how I feel in the moment. I came into this game feeling like Myles Garrett was my X factor. G, me and you was on the radio this morning, and I told you it was up to Myles Garrett to set the tone in this game, and he did not do so. If you want to be a big dog, you got to be a big dog in the biggest moments, man, in the most opportune time, when the stage is the biggest, when the lights is the brightest. And 95 was not there, and we needed him. Like, we needed this dude. I was looking for the Myles Garrett that played against the Pittsburgh Steelers Wild Card Weekend 2020. Where the hell was that dude at? 95 didn't show up. You know what I mean? And it's frustrating, right? How can you continue to defend a dude who you know is great, who puts up the numbers, who's going to be a PFF darling, who's going to have a high pass rate win rush, who's going to have all the sexy numbers year in and year out, man. But when you need a big play or two in a big moment, man, why is it that I feel like it's damn near like pulling teeth to get 95 to be that dude to go out there and make that big play in that big moment? You know what I mean? How can we sit up here and continue to say he better than TJ Watt when all we ever see TJ Watt do is make plays, man? Dude makes plays all the time. I hate it. I can't stand it, but it is the absolute truth. Micah Parsons, he makes plays all the damn time, man. I'm tired of this sometimes type situation. Like, I needed the Myles Garrett that I seen in Indianapolis that was making plays all game long. Like, bro, like, step up, man. If you a big dog, if you really want to like be head honcho in this city, if you want that LeBron James type energy, bro, you got to bring it in the big moments. Because the one thing about Bron brought it, man, when the lights was the brightest and the stage was the biggest.
So
Earl,
since we talking,
G, hold on. Let me add one thing real quick that I want to toss to you. But Earl, do you remember before the season, I did that deep dive on Myles Garrett's stats because we're like, we want more from Myles, but we couldn't quantify what more was. Do you remember that whole thing, G? Remember we did that? And the one thing we found out was it's not time, it's not quarter, it's not down, it's distance. In the last month of the season, his sacks tallied off in each of his 4 best seasons. And this year, 1 sack in the last 7 games. He didn't show up in the playoffs. He's still the defensive player of the year in my eyes. It's a regular season award. But G, to Earl's point, I can't agree more. Biggest game, their best player was a non-factor at the end of it.
Listen, I got to keep it a buck. That's why I whispered the sweet nothings. I didn't see you today, dog. He didn't see you, dog. And let's keep it real. One of these dudes out here, you got the nerve to have the number 1 on. We got to steal that jersey. We got to make him have a nasty number like 46 or something. Juan Thornhill, you did all that extra talking to Adam the Bull about how don't ask me for no playoff tickets either. Like, you was preseason talking. And I was on John Johnson last year for not doing nothing. Bro, this year? You think you would have got that off in Kansas City? Because you was back there looking crazy. Blown coverages, no tackling, dropping picks, in and out of the lineup, taking terrible angles. I'm sorry, bro. Listen, people be wanting to be talking about coming from a specific team. You didn't bring that specific team's game. You didn't bring the Juan Thornhill from that was in Kansas City. You brought, I'm on Cleveland Browns team and I'm gonna bring it. No, bro, you didn't bring it. And by the way, I see a parallel. Zadarius Smith.
And
where were you at? Since when did
the whole D line? The whole D line.
The whole defensive line. All of them do it.
I mean, listen, you are a player that has got multiple 10-sack games in your 10-sack seasons. bro, we saw nothing. You sat there and you let Myles Garrett. If Myles Garrett wasn't gonna do nothing, you should have said, "Well, I got the capabilities of doing something," and put the team on your back. Man, we had a lot of innocent bystanders today. I mean, we got our candy taken from us. Like we did all that trick or treating through the season just to watch the Texans say, "Give me a candy right now. Get up out of here too."
So this is my thing with that, G. We can point fingers at Thornhill, this, that, and the third. This is the reason why it's more important to highlight Myles Garrett, right? Because I'm gonna be one of the first people to praise Myles Garrett when it's time. You know what I'm saying? And I hope you see this for real. Because y'all know me, man. I can stand on anything. I'm not gonna say anything that I can't say to a player's face, right? My thing is this: we did a show, and the question was, who is the most important member of the Cleveland Browns? Is it Joe Flacco and Myles Garrett, right? And everybody argued. I think we did a fan vote. Everybody said it was Myles Garrett, right? We go as far as Myles Garrett takes us. That's what everybody said, right? Here we are. Right. Yeah. And then you can't put the 2 pick sixes on Myles Garrett. That's on Joe Flacco. He can't do nothing about that. And I get it. You know, other players got to step up, man. But
that was trash too. Let me keep it real. That was trash too. And I'm gonna judge elephant in the room. I listen. We did wacko for Flacco. We did all the promotions. Don't act like it. But listen, them 2 picks was trash. Like, let's keep it real. And by the way,
the first one was horrible.
First one was terrible.
First one was horrible.
By the way, and y'all need to admit it, if Deshaun Watson threw them picks, y'all would be going crazy.
Yeah.
If Watson threw them picks, y'all have the whole screen lit up with emojis. Them 2 picks, it was over. You can't throw those picks. And you know what? You got to call a spade a spade. It ain't got nothing to do with what he did the rest of the year. Them 2 picks was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, let's call all the spades today. Outside of JOK and David Bell, I don't think anyone had. Njoku had good numbers. He dropped 2 passes. He hadn't dropped a pass since Joe Flacco had taken over. You could put Njoku in that
Harrison
category.
Bryant had a good game.
I was talking about Harrison Bryant definitely did. But I'm talking about the big guys, the guys you expect that you need to show up in a playoff moment, not a guy like – and David Bell shouldn't even be in that category, Earl, if we're being honest. But David Bell and Harrison Bryant definitely.
Random thought on David Bell, and I should have texted this to you.
Shoot.
Not saying that David Bell is good, but it goes to show how bad the Browns receiver situation is. I don't think David Bell is good, and he's better than Cedric Tillman. At least he can run routes. Like, at least he can run routes. So.
But you look across the board, offensively.
Dang, Elijah Moore played today?
He 1 catch. I'm going down the list. Joe Flacco played like crap. Worst game he's played as a Cleveland Brown. Jerome Ford, nothing. Kareem Hunt, shout out Kareem Hunt, actually. Kareem Hunt played when he got his opportunities.
Kareem Hunt played well.
Played well, 2 touchdowns. Kareem Hunt, you showed up today. Amari Cooper didn't get a ton of opportunities. 265 yards last time, 49 yards this game. We need more. Elijah Moore, 1 catch, needs to play better. David Bell showed up. Njoku had a couple drops. His numbers were good. Harrison Bryant played all right. Offensive line was their worst performance since Joe Flacco had taken over at quarterback. He was under constant duress and pressure the entire time. On the defensive side of the ball, outside of JOK, I'm not making a case for anybody. I don't think anyone played well outside of JOK. And I thought JOK stepped up and played maybe one of his best games of the entire season, maybe his second best game behind San Francisco. But you go across the board, G, in a playoff game on the road, when you're the more veteran team, you can't have 3.5 players show up and expect to win. That's not going to happen. And if your quarterback's going to lay an egg like Joe Flacco did, and yeah, as good as Joe Flacco had been in that 5-game stretch for the Browns, he was equally as terrible today. That first interception, I'm not sure if he was trying to throw it out of bounds and just underthrew it by 5 yards. I'm not sure if he was trying to throw it away, didn't see the defender in the area. If worst case, Joe, just take a sack there. I mean, come on, it was first down. It wasn't like it was 3rd and 18. You're trying to make a play, but like, you just can't win when only a few players show up. And it's gonna drive me crazy trying to figure out who that falls on. I know it's a players thing. I know it's a coaching thing. It's probably a little bit of both. But we heard on Monday that Joe Flacco, Rodney McLeod, and Juan Thornhill stood up in front of this team and delivered a speech saying, I know what it takes to win in the playoffs. Follow what I do. Follow my lead, and we'll make something special happen over the next 4 or 5 weeks. And none of those guys played well today.
Words,
and that's, I
words
think, the most disappointing part.
Words don't mean shit.
I know.
That don't mean nothing when you get in a fight. Like, you can talk all you want. You get punched right in your face. Like, you got.
And my point is, Flacco didn't throw back today. Flacco threw one little slap and got knocked out. Juan Thornhill, I don't even know if he got in his stance. He was out cold before he even got a chance to square up. Rodney McLeod's in a boot on the sideline. So, like, the people that talk the talk today, G, or talk the talk this week, did not walk the walk. And that's what I think is the most disappointing to me. That everything was lined up for the Browns to make a playoff run. You had a hot quarterback, what was supposed to be a great defense. You had the matchup, at least on paper, you wanted, the AFC South opponent, and you laid an egg in the biggest way possible. So bad to the point where Davis Mills, the backup quarterback, who you obliterated 3 weeks ago, got put in the game with 9 minutes left. And that felt like it was already after the Texans could have put him in 3 minutes before. Just
best part of football is, look, you know what? Football is devoid of anything that happens outside. We don't care what your politics are. We don't care if you're religious or non-religious. We don't care if you're rich, poor, black, Chinese, white, Jewish, anything. It don't matter if you got a bunch of bags of money, your influence, where you came from. Are you educated? When you get on the field, none of that matters. It don't matter. So CJ Stroud once again was like, hey, here's my library card to get in the game, and smoked you. It is what it is. They was better than you, and salute them.
Speaking of salute, man, let's take a minute right now to salute the UCSS fans, man. We sitting at 2,260 strong. I see we peaked at like 2.3. Make sure y'all hit that like button. I just want to thank y'all, man. Y'all been here with us, rocking with us all season long. Win, lose, or draw. Even if you don't like what we got to say, even if you don't like the perspective, you still show up. Y'all still show out, man. Y'all still show us love. You still spend your money on your super chats. Like, you still spend money on gifted memberships. Like I can't thank y'all enough, man, for what y'all have done to help make our post-game show this season what it's been. So, like, in the midst of the Browns getting their ass kicked, I just want y'all to know, man, we love y'all, and we truly, truly appreciate everything that y'all do to help make what we do great. For real, for real.
Yeah, we'll read super chats in 1 sec. G, let's go around before we do super chats. And Earl, you can start. G, you go, then I'll finish before we get to super chats. But I guess try to put this game, how to process it, how to move forward if you want. But essentially a final take. I got to step out for 1 sec. We got a minute, 90 seconds for a final take. G, you go, then I'll wrap us up. I'm back in 1 sec.
Yeah, man. It's been a great season. This season, the Browns kept fighting, undermanned the entire season. But it just goes to show you how hard it is to win at the highest level. So I want everybody to remember this. I want everybody to remember the sting that you're going through right now. And then when we start talking about things that the Browns need to do to upgrade their roster, I need you to remember this feeling. And I need you to fight the urge of saying, we don't need that guy. Because it's going to be some tough conversations that we have on how to get better and where we need to go. And you need to remember this feeling of defeat and getting smashed, right? And understand there's no such thing as a window. There's no such thing as an open window where you can go in and people let you win. That's not life. That's not football. So when we talk about the Browns getting to the pinnacle where they need to go, instead of you talking about why Deshaun Watson's contract is so bad, you need to be quiet and listen and say, how do we get better with what we got? None of this, that's not going to get it done. At the end of the day, you got to go make your window. You keep your window. You keep your position. You got it. But the Browns need to go out and they need receivers. The Browns need to go out and reevaluate some of the things that they got going back. They need to get another a deep play threat. They need to work on this offensive line, and they need to do a lot of other things. And Jim Schwartz need to go to the drawing board and say, why is it that we had trouble doing X, Y, and Z? Players need to go back to the table and say, I didn't show up when my team needed me to show up. So instead of working on getting to the playoffs and being happy about it, you got to put that work in to advance in the playoffs. And I think everybody on that roster should understand that.
Man, this is my final take on the Browns for this game, and this is my final take on the Browns for this season. And I mean everything I'm about to say from the bottom of my heart. I am the Cleveland Browns in a way, right? I always describe the Browns fans with the Cleveland Browns organization as a relationship that for the better part has been toxic, right? But you love the Browns so much that you continue to hang in there. You continue to believe in them. You continue to see their maturity and their growth over time. And so you stick it out with them. And I do believe that they've grown. I do believe that this is a franchise that has changed their culture, but they failed and they came up short. And just like in real life, man, even when your trajectory is on the uprise, you still might fail sometimes, and sometimes you still might come up short. But I would tell you this: be encouraged, because we got a GM in Andrew Berry, and we got a head coach in Kevin Stefanski that is going to pick this team back up, and we're going to keep moving forward to reach our overall goal. So today might suck. Today might be, a mark in the wrong box that we wanted it to be, but better believe that this organization is different. The culture is changed, and that better days is still in store. And just because we failed today don't mean that overall we are failures. We're still trying to get it right. We still trying to figure out things as we go, man. I can't wait the next year. What I've seen this year is a team that is resilient, is a team that can persevere, is a team that can overcome, as a team that can block out the noise, is a team that has a brotherhood and strong chemistry. And that's all ingredients, man, to having a healthy relationship, a healthy culture. And I believe that we have that. And so don't look at the fact that, we came up short today and kind of want to throw it all away just because you emotional in the moment. Understand, man, like what you got in the Cleveland Browns, you got somebody that's mature. You got somebody that got a different culture. You got somebody that really, really got a lot of potential and a lot of promise, man. Don't give up on them just because you're mad today. I get it. I'm mad too, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm going to be right back here next year cheering them on to the Super Bowl.
I'll make this quick and we'll read some super chats. At the end of the day, today's result is not something I could have imagined happening in my wildest dreams. I was not only confident the Browns were going to win, I was almost laughing at the fact I did not think the Texans had a chance. I thought the matchup on paper favored the Browns. I thought everything the Browns did well was the Texans' weakness. I thought Week 16 would have given the Browns confidence to somehow, some way, find a way to advance to the next round of the playoffs. And at the end of the day, I was wrong on every front. The Texans took the fight to the Browns. The Browns were unable to fight back. Kudos to CJ Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, Nico Collins, the rest of that Texans squad. They were the better team today. But this season was supposed to be over when Nick Chubb got hurt. And then it was supposed to be over when Deshaun Watson got hurt. And then it was supposed to be over again when DTR got hurt. And then Joe Flacco wasn't supposed to do this. I've enjoyed this Browns season as much as I've enjoyed any individual season of football, maybe in the 30 years I've been alive. And this is an absolutely devastating, gut-wrenching, kick-in-the-nuts kind of ending to what was an unbelievably fun season for the Cleveland Browns. And anytime you come up short of your ultimate goal, which is winning the Super Bowl, it's a disappointment. But the fact the Browns were able to overcome as much as they did and build the foundation and build the culture to what could be at some point a championship franchise gives me hope that with the right pieces in place, the right decision makers are there to lead this team to where it has to go. And most importantly, it's your time, Deshaun. You're up for it. There ain't no excuses. We saw Joe Flacco come off the couch and have success. You have a whole offseason to recover, rehab, get ready to learn this offense inside and out. You'll have new weapons next year. And in DW4, we trust because, frankly, the Browns do not have another option. Joe Flacco, this was fun. Thank you for the memories, but it is officially DW4 time here for Cleveland. Y'all ready for some super chats?
Let's do it.
Skill says, for the first time in a long time, I turned off a Browns game before the final whistle. I am so disappointed. SG says, don't give credit to those losers.
Who?
I think he was talking about earlier on.
Chime in. I'll pause. You guys have to chime in on any of these.
No, I know who you're talking about. That came when I said that I got to give credit and respect to the Houston Texans. So,
well, you do. Why would we?
They deserve it. They deserve credit. They kicked the Browns' ass today.
Come on now.
Creative Juice says, silver lining, we won't be as much Flacco for starting quarterback going into next season as we know. It's Deshaun's team now. JOK was possessed. JOK, if anyone played well today for the Browns, it was number 6, JOK. Preston Herring says, I'm not sad because we got beat like a drum. I'm sad because the season was magical and I wasn't ready for it to end. I feel like that's the sentiment of a lot of Browns fans right now. Earl G, do you guys feel that that's
probably
that's
the
sentiment
best way to describe? That's life, man. Nothing good lasts forever, right? I mean, that happens. So, like, I get it. Like, and a lot of people, like, they don't agree with what I said. Again, people are emotional right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they feelings, and I get it. Like, I get it. It is what it is. Like, we lost.
Jason Lloyd's on TV with Jimmy Donovan right now, and it looks like he's about to cry. Just want to
that's what I'm saying. I get it. People don't want to hear the feel good stories. They don't want to be encouraged. They don't want to hear all that. Like, I just can't drown in my own misery, man. Like, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and the Browns still gonna have lost 45-14, and it's something unfortunately we got to deal with until the next football season comes, man. But that really sucks, bro. That really sucks.
Sly says defense cost us the first half, but Flacco lost us the game with those back-to-back pick sixes. Yeah, that was the downfall of the game, without a doubt. Ant said, pretty disappointing, but where do we get off resting starters and saying a game doesn't mean anything? We're not that good of a team or franchise to be taking games off. Shaking my head. It just sucks. It's easy to go hindsight 2020. We'll have that discussion on Monday, maybe tomorrow, Tuesday, in the coming days. But rust, whatever. The Browns just weren't the better team today. Is that kind of fair? Is that just an overarching statement that you guys agree with?
That's accurate.
The Texans were just better today at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all.
Rakisan1187 says, make sure we talk about Miles vanishing yet again on Tuesday. We talked about it today a little bit. Earl brought it up. I think G and I concur. We're also having a show Monday, by the way. I know it's MLK Day, but we will still have a show on Monday, just a heads up. Rat Generation X said, Kevin was coach of the COVID year, nothing more, and he won against a broke-down Big Ben in 2020. So what? He will never make it to the Super Bowl. He's awful. Do you guys want to respond to that?
Again, people are emotional right now in the moment, man. Let people get their funky off. I'm not going to sit up here and go back and forth with people in the moment. We can have this conversation later on this week, and I'm pretty sure that person may or may not feel the same way. But Browns just got their ass kicked, and people feel some type of way. So let people feel some type of way.
Yeah, look. I mean, Stefanski didn't have his best coaching outing. But it is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? If there's so much blame to go around, like it's like you could pick 5 to 10 people and put 20% of the loss on them. Like we talk about, I don't think Schwartz had a good game plan. Do you think he had a good game plan today? No, he didn't do nothing. Special teams didn't do nothing today. Running game didn't do nothing today. So that's easy money. It's easy to say that. And I got to give credit where credit is due, man. Like, let's be clear. First and foremost, before I even started none of this stuff about the media, I actually put my hand in the dirt. And I actually played and been hurt thousands of times playing the game of football. There's a level of integrity that you got to have when you losing. And there's a level of humility you got to have when you losing. So it don't matter what nobody say in the chat, because I know how to be a good loser. Y'all lost. It ain't about the Browns not showing up. It's about the Browns lost. The Texans did what they needed to do. They moving on. Salute to them. Go get better. That's it. Go get better. It's part of the game.
Says Miles grinning after getting boat raced, shaking my head. Rated R says, y'all will wacko for Flacco. All the injuries finally caught up to us. Hey, yeah, like that's partly true. Houston was the only team in the NFL with more players on IR than the Browns. So they overcame injuries. The Browns didn't today. They got their ass kicked. Like I don't know how many times we could say this as plainly and direct as the Browns got their ass kicked in every facet of the football game today. We can make any excuse you want. At the end of the day, the Texans were the better team. G, you said it earlier. If these two teams played at how they played today 100 times, the Texans are winning 99 out of 100 times, if not 100.
Facts.
So yeah, it sucks. Like I wish I could say it differently, but we got our ass kicked today. Sly says, if Flacco doesn't throw the pick six while we're driving, this game is different. Shorty Xander 13 says, this is the exact same way the Cavs lost to the Knicks. We are favorites and then knocked out in the first round. This feels worse. Marquise Hill said, G. Bush, y'all CJ was that dude. Watch your mouth. You said, come back after the game with the same energy. GR, do you address that? You had your library card. You had your wallet. I did. So, yeah.
I did. You missed it. Rewind that.
Yeah. McKee Rhymes says, resting the starters was a terrible idea. Sly says, this was on the safeties way more than Newsome. We missed Grant way more than people suggested. Ronnie Hickman had been great over the last 4 weeks in place of Delpit. He did not play well today. He got exposed by a savvy play caller and a really good receiving core and quarterback combo. But Delpit definitely would have helped today. I think it's hard to deny that, right, guys?
I agree. I agree. But actually, no, I'm going to take that back. No, here's why I'm going to say no. Because to be truthful, the Texans had 4 or 5 plays that they just drop passes like wide open, bombs wide open that are overthrows. They had a lot of this game. They could have got 60. So no, Grant Delpit wouldn't have helped.
It couldn't have hurt. I'll put it that way. Yeah. Rated R says. Rated R wants to know, how are we not ready to play? Joe threw those back-to-back pick sixes. How is that on Kevin? Come on, that's a bad take. Who said the back-to-back pick sixes was on Kevin?
Who said that?
The pick sixes were on Joe. Like, the first one was terrible. The second one was on fourth down. At least I kind of understand the philosophy of, well, if I don't try to make a throw and I get sacked, the drive's over. The first one was just an abomination. That was as bad of a throw as he made all season long.
That boy had pick six written all over as soon as he caught it, too.
I was just waiting for somebody to be up underneath that one. Pause.
Yeah.
I was like, that ball is in the air for a long time.
Mary
it
Kay
was like Tecmo Bowl.
Mary Kay tweeted out that he was asked about that first interception. He says he was trying to throw it away and just didn't have enough arm strength as he was getting hit. So Joe, if you believe Joe Flacco, said he was trying to throw the ball away, got hit, did not have enough arm strength to reach the sideline. Reggie Glover said, I asked you about a month ago if a 38-year-old vet throwing the ball 40 to 50 times a game was sustainable to win games. And what did you guys tell me? Stefanski completely abandoned the run game again because he wanted to set up a screen. G, you want to address that?
He couldn't run the ball. I mean, look, man, like he couldn't run the ball. Like as progressively as the game goes along, when other teams figure out that you don't have the horses and you can't do certain things, you're dead. Like that's like going into a gunfight with a knife. Like you got a butter knife, bro. Like they're like, they can't run the ball. Let's get them. That's the only way the Browns was really gonna run.
I'm scratching my head because we still having conversations about a Kevin Stefanski quarterback and the number of pass attempts that he has. Like Kevin Stefanski likes to throw the ball. Like that's just that. Like, come on, man. Like.
I mean, they went.
Like,
listen, they could have ran that ball 100 times.
I can't sit up here and say anything about how many times he threw the ball because we got our ass whooped, and I wasn't talking about how many times he threw the ball when we was blowing people out. Like this is what Kevin Stefanski do. Didn't he throw the ball a bunch with Jeff Driscoll last week? This is who our head coach is. Like this is it, man. That's who he is.
And the Browns couldn't run the ball. G said it best. They haven't ran the ball consistently outside of the Jets game, which was the anomaly in essentially since Nick Chubb went out. And the Texans' run defense was 5th in the league against stopping the run. So I'm not going to kill him yet. Joe Flacco's arm caught up to him. I'll take the L. I said when they first got Joe Flacco, I was worried he had 100 throws in his arm before he was going to fall off. And he had way more than 100 throws, but it eventually came to catch up with them, and it sucks. The Browns lost today. SCR says, if you can't block, you can't win playoff games. It's that simple. I'm excited for a fully healthy season next year. Go Brownies. Nicole D says, thank you guys for all your hard work this season. This was a good season, but today's performance was pathetic. They were talking Super Bowl, and we got dog walked in the first round. I can't disagree. Sly said we looked like a team starting a backup quarterback. We had a chance to get momentum driving in field goal range beginning of the third, and then we threw back-to-back pick sixes. Sly said, oh, this one's tough, and he's actually right. Flacco scored the same amount of points for the Texans as he did for the Browns today. That's not wrong.
That's a bar.
Yeah. Free Wi-Fi says, hey, serious question. Do you think Watson would have made a difference? Because if you say no, that's a bigger problem than this game.
Time out. I got pet peeves with stuff like that. Don't ask me a question and then try to make up your mind of what my answer should be. Like the question is already predetermined that if you say no, I'm about to attack you because you don't agree with the question. Do I think that Deshaun Watson could have made a difference today? Absolutely. He QB1. That's our starting quarterback. Like, why wouldn't I think Deshaun Watson would have made a difference? Last time I seen Deshaun Watson, he made a hell of a difference in the outcome of the game. So, yes, I think he would have made a difference.
G?
Of course.
I just want to give you a chance. Just wanted to give you a chance before I moved on. I don't want to cut you short, brother.
But no, but it's like, like I have a problem talking about narrative as over football. I'm a football guy. Like why would I ask that question of a guy who hasn't played in months and didn't play and wasn't going to play? Like, that's hypothetical. You just got boat race. Here's the thing. When you play football, if you would have asked that dumbass question to a coach, they would have kicked you off the field or made everybody run. People that be commenting on this don't have no discipline. If I don't like saying this because it makes you feel like you want to be an elitist. I feel like everybody should have an opinion and talk about what they want to talk about. But there comes a point in time where dumbass questions just really put you in the mood because you be like, look, we here to talk about why the Cleveland Browns lost on the field. Anything other than talking about anybody else why don't you? All right, let me ask you this dumb question. Would Jack Conklin have made a difference? How stupid that sounds.
Would Nick Chubb have made a difference in the Browns not being able to run the football?
Like what? Like what are we doing? Peyton Manning in his peak. Like what are we doing? I don't know. Like look, listen. I don't know about everybody. Obfuscating in life. Sometimes you just gotta take your L, bro. It ain't no problem. You don't gotta be subliminal. We taking the L. We are. I'm just trying to save the little piece of my voice. We gonna take. We look. G. Bush was talking a bunch of crap. I said that C.J. Stroud was 16. He is still 16, but his 16 is different. He should all praises to C.J. Stroud in his year.
He's 16, but he McLovin.
Right. At the end of the day, we gotta just take that L, fellas. Learn to take it. We wasn't even supposed to be around here.
Yeah.
Mike caught that. That's who he is, though. He McLovin. He that type of 16.
That was good. Yeah. All right. Next up, Sly says, I don't agree with you guys all the time. What did you say, G? Sorry.
No, I was just chilling.
All right. Sly says, I don't agree with you guys all the time, but I respect the work you always put in. We appreciate that, Sly. D4L Josh says, like Shannon Sharp says, we were accepting things in a win. We wouldn't in a loss. Them turnovers. Okay. Supertramp says, McNuggets right. We should have won. This was a fake season. This wasn't a fake season, but the Browns should have won this game.
What?
At the end of the day, this is the game the Browns should have won going into it. And last one, Blackwater Bank says, Houston playoffs started last week while we rested our starters. Needed to aim for that 1 seed next year. And guys, I think that officially does it for our last Browns post-game show of the season. It's been real. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everyone who tunes in. I wish this was a party. I was ready to have an absolute. I had champagne. I bought champagne like 3 weeks ago.
Regardless. I'm gonna drink regardless.
Me too. But I just drinking champagne. I'm not drinking champagne now. I'm drinking tequila. So, and we appreciate you for keeping up with the chat. G, Earl, I love you guys. I love everyone else in here too. Y'all make this fun. We appreciate you guys. So, this was what it is. Nothing more, nothing less.
Man, it's like the final episode of Power, and I gotta wait till next year to do it all over again.
Ghost died.
Damn, I'm a bit sore, man. I'm a bit sore. I promise to come back, hair a little longer, maybe a little bit more color. Who knows, man? We'll see.
Yeah,
this sucks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we'll be back Monday. We got a show Monday. Jason Lloyd, stop laughing on.
And we got to work on MLK Day. Damn.
Hey, we shouldn't even sign up for that.
Jason Lloyd's
we shouldn't even sign up for that. We should rethink on that. We should be like,
no. We want that Monday in the summer, G. We want that Monday in the summer. Trust me. So, all right.
I love it.
We'll see y'all Monday for G, for Earl, for Ant, for the rest of the UCSS squad. I appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Terrible ending to the Browns season, but for the last time this year, Earl, you ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3. Peace.